Warning, the RCWR show with Lee Sanders is intended for a mature audience only. The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond since 2011. You're listening to the RCWR show. Now, your host, live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
You know, as long as I've been doing this, there's always a first time for everything. Shit's bound to go caca crazy. What's going on? Lee Sanders here. You're checking out an all-new The RCWR Show. Monday night, November 16th, 2020, covering all things wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. So, if you're tuning in for maybe the second or third time, you may have noticed we had some I put a spell on you because you're mine. Yeah, we had some type of weird spell going on here. Okay, so normally, to each its own. To every podcaster, each its own. But there's a golden rule that us podcasters have, which is, okay, before you go live, at least an hour before you go live, just turn on your computer, your laptop, whatever. Make sure that whatever updates needs to happen, it does what it needs to do. That way, when it's time for you to go live, everything is smooth. It's smooth. You ask anybody, they will tell you that. I've been doing that for a good minute now. Everything was good. We fire up the stream, we go live. Next thing I know, I happen to be reading the chat box and I get, can't hear you. Well, I wasn't really talking, but I'm going, oh, okay, well, what's going on here? Turns out all my shit was grayed out. Wasn't sure what was going on. So I did a reboot. Still have the same problem. So I actually manually had to go in, and it looks like somehow my audio settings was all set by default to, I don't know what. Your guess is as good as mine, but it was set to default. That's not my setting. My setting is, no, you're supposed to be connected to my mixer. That's what you're supposed to be connected to. So this was kind of weird here, but I'm glad we worked out the kinks. So sorry about that for those of you that are kind of like, what the hell's going on here? But we're good to go now. Don't worry about it. We're good to go. So, loads that we're going to be getting into on this edition of the RCWR show, and FYI, I can see any and all comments that are coming in during this stream. Any and all. So, by the way, we're streaming live right now on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch. Man, we're all over the place for the next little bit. So, appreciate you guys that's tuning into this episode. Means a lot. Let me know, please, if you see anything weird going on, some buffering or some type of lag, some audio issues, let me know, and I will be more than happy to see if I can try to adjust it off the fly here at my end. But we should be good to go from here on out. We will see. All right, so interesting Monday Night Raw, yeah? And I mean that from this standpoint, the finish to Monday Night Raw for this week. In case you guys did not peep it out there, the main event match, Drew McIntyre taking on Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. And folks, a little bit surprised at this. We got ourselves a new WWE World Heavyweight Champion in Drew McIntyre. I wish I was trolling you guys right now. Hopefully that didn't shock a lot of you guys. I know some of you guys have Raw on your DVRs and everything, and you don't think you're really going to be checking out anything special, but I gotta tell you, the tone that WWE set tonight going into this weekend's Survivor Series pay-per-view, there's a couple of different ways I can look at this, honestly. There's a couple of different ways I can look at this. On the one hand, I can look at this and I can say, wow, WWE really wants to make sure they have eyes on Survivor Series this Sunday. I mean, really take a step back and look at it. They have essentially hyped up this entire pay-per-view around the Phenom, The Undertaker, where they want for everybody in the WWE universe to pay homage one more time to the dead man as he gets a nice, proper send-off from us fans, his peers, right? So on the one hand, you're looking at the move that they did with Drew McIntyre and you're going, okay, interesting. Or if you're a little bit more philosophical as I am, if you're a little bit well-rounded as I am, you just kind of lean back a little bit and you look at this and you say, I don't suppose after a tumultuous weekend, WWE is trying to take whatever negative press has been said about them within the past 48 to 72 hours, and they're trying to do their very best to deflect as much as humanly possible. I don't suppose. I wouldn't put it past them. It wouldn't be the first and it damn sure wouldn't be the last, but that's something that you can't help but honestly think about. And what do I mean by that? Well, of course, everything that had went down there with Zelina Vega. We got some new information that came out too with regards to Zelena Vega, which we'll talk about later on during the show. So we got a nice, fun, jam-packed show. Time is not the enemy tonight, but I hope you were looking at it from those angles as far as Drew McIntyre becoming the world champion tonight. Foolish me, foolish heart, I was under the impression that maybe what we were ultimately going to set up was a returning Edge, Randy Orton feud renewed. I was under the impression at least Randy Orton was going to hold on to the title that long, but that's not even what happened. Kind of weird there. I'm trying to wrap my brain around this. I am, because I just really feel as though so random, so odd. Is it that time for Randy Orton once again to, okay, all my dates are fulfilled. I need to be gone for a little bit, enjoy the holidays with my family. Is it that time for Randall once again? Or is there more behind the scene here? Your guess is as good as mine. I'll tell you this much, good match between the guys and everything, but tell me something, and I'll pose this question to you all, and maybe we can address this together. What does a title reign for Drew McIntyre this go round, especially after he last held the belt, less than a month ago? What does a title reign for Drew McIntyre do this go round? How is this title reign different than the previous title reign we just saw him have over the course of the past couple of months? I'm just trying to wrap my brain around that, and I can't for the love of me. And if you're a Miz fan and you're looking at him as the Money in the Bank briefcase holder, any remote chance that maybe, just maybe, he was going to come out on top somehow, wiggle away that WWE Championship, now you can't help but after tonight look at what transpired in that main event match and say, I'm not really sure like the odds there of Miz coming out on top as a champion, at least not on the Raw side of things. So does this mean maybe eventually Miz and storyline is going to set his sights on the SmackDown Championship? Remember, that Money in the Bank briefcase, I know it's being told one way right now, but that Money in the Bank briefcase, any title of the choosing, up to an entire year to cash that bad boy in. So it's looking kind of dim, I have to say, for you Miz fans that's strongly thinking, Miz, he's got to trade in that briefcase. He's going to become champion. It's going to happen. When you really stop and look at it, when you look at the SmackDown side of things and you look at the great roller coaster of what I've been dubbing as unhinged Roman Reigns, that is fire right now. By the way, did you guys peep out the unboxing and unveiling video I did for WWE Shop? If you didn't get a chance to check it out, do so after you get done with this. It was about 17 minutes long. Really cool video. I had unveiled a signed Sorry, I got a brain fart. It happens. But I had unveiled a signed commemorative, oh God, what am I trying to say? A sign? It's the brain farts tonight. The brain farts are getting the best of me. And that's the thing. You guys that watched, you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. But basically, Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, it's a signed payback commemorative, you know, plaque thing, and it's got their photos in there. Basically, when Roman Reigns made his return at SummerSlam, shockingly, and then, as we all know, he went into Payback, had that triple threat match, came out as a new champion. I unveiled that over the weekend, so it's actually on the YouTube channel, so you guys can go check that out when you guys get a chance. And yeah, as I said on that video, I've been admiring that damn thing all weekend ever since I hung that bad boy up. Shout out if you had checked out the original airing of that, because the original airing of that, yeah, man, we're struggling over here. I was struggling for about 40 minutes putting that damn thing up on the wall. And it's funny because by the time you guys watch what's currently visible, I trimmed all that down to about, I would say, I trimmed it all down to like about, 17 minutes or something like that. So it was really cool. I'm already seeing a question about Zelena Vega. Look, we talked about Zelena Vega just a couple of days ago on the RCWR show. And for those of you that are just now tuning in, there is new information that came to light. It kind of follows up on what I had talked about just a few days ago. So I will be revisiting that. So trust me when I say there's really no topic that's going to be left unturned on the show tonight. But for now, we're just quickly talking about Raw, because I got to tell you guys, Raw this week, so episode, to the point. Let's go to the polls now. I asked you guys on Twitter, and I asked you guys on YouTube at the RCWR show, what did you think about Raw? Now, I bet you it's going to be more of a thumbs up, because there's probably going to be a lot of Drew McIntyre fans that saw that poll, and they decided, oh, no, thumbs up, because Drew McIntyre got the job done there. But let's see what you guys had to say here. So we polled on Twitter, our own respective followers. 75% are giving the show a thumbs up. Meanwhile, 25% are giving it a thumbs down. Now, we did actually put that same poll out there on Twitter again, but this time we polled WWE's followers. And the results of that is as follows. 62.5% gave the show a thumbs up. Meanwhile, 37.5% gave it a thumbs down. My biggest takeaways from Raw for this week in a nutshell. Okay, new WWE champion in Drew McIntyre. Okay, check. Alexa Bliss. You guys got to admit, I've been very complimentary and very consistent with my critique of what's been going on with the recent work of Alexa Bliss. And I will double down and I will say it again. Alexa Bliss, for me, this is the most reinvigorated. This is the most refreshing. This is the most... Hey, I'm getting into this as a fan, from a fan perspective. This is the most fun I've had enjoying the work of Alexa Bliss in quite a long time. I remember watching this young girl's career from down in NXT and trying to find her character and all that. And to see how eventually she blossomed upon going on the main roster. And I felt, okay, all right, my girl's arrived. She's going places. And, just those couple of years there where she was just a stalemate. Teach its own. I didn't particularly care for her as a babyface. I just didn't. The alliance there with Nikki Cross didn't really do anything for me personally. I didn't particularly care for that. But this alliance that she's had going on there with Bray Wyatt, it has just really had me take a step back and just, you can legitimately, and I would just love to hear somebody one of these days do an interview with her and mention this point, which is, in all the years that we fans have been watching your career from NXT main roster to now, what you've been doing with Bray Wyatt, this looks like the most fun, the most entertaining, the most energized you've been during your entire run. Is that a safe observation to make and say? What say you? And I wouldn't be surprised if she actually says, no, you're actually right. This is one of my most, fun moments right now. I love it. I love it. Look, let's just peel the curtain back just a little bit, just a little tiny bit. We know that over the years, she's been plagued with injuries. She has been plagued with injuries. And, right down to the point, we can be honest, the Alexa Bliss that we're currently seeing, whenever she does get in the ring, it's not quite matching up to what we saw of her from down in NXT and then the early part when she was on the main roster. Homegirl has just taken too many bumps, sadly, and yet somehow still very passionate, wants to continue to stay involved in the business and everything. So there's ways you can work around stuff like that. I know we went through that period where Moment of Bliss, a lot of you all have dubbed that your own, however you wanted to dub it, but lackluster to say the least. But I'm loving this. I'm loving what she's doing with Bray. And look, we knew eventually her, Nikki Cross, were going to be locking it up. We saw this a mile away. So to see that eventually we're going to be getting a feud there between Nikki and Alexa, as things really were popping tonight with Nikki following up from last week. Okay, so she made Lexi choose between the friendship with her or him in Bray Wyatt, and Lexi decided, okay, well, tough shit, hit bricks. I'm going to go with Bray. But now this week we see Nikki not satisfied with being kicked to the curb last week, trying to convince her girl again, hey, this man, he's bad for you. He's bad news. You don't want to be with this guy. Come on now. Once again, Lexi choosing sides. Now, I'm sorry, to each its own. But this is twice now you've put your hands on me. This is technically the third time now you've said no to me, that you've drawn your line in the sand and you've chosen to go in another direction. All right, you know what? You do you. I'm going to do me. That's fine. Well, that's how it would be in normal cases, but we're talking about WWE. We got to create instant Acme feuds out of this somehow, do we not, folks? So, look, I'm looking forward to seeing how things pick up a notch between those girls. Bray Wyatt, the focal point and everything. Honestly, I'll tell you something else, too. This is also benefiting Nikki Cross in a huge way. As much as I have been giving a lot of praise there to Alexa Bliss, look, somebody else, and we got to make sure we don't fall asleep on her. Nikki Cross could really be coming out of this the best in years since she's been on the main roster there. So you really want to have that in the back of your rearview mirror as you're seeing this feud continue here, because I got to tell you, with Nikki being injected into this, and basically when it's all said and done, the connection is Bray Wyatt, writing wise, and you've seen the way that the writers have been handling this so far, involving all three of them from SmackDown, and now things have crossed over to Raw. I would say of the story arcs, for me as a fan, that has caught my interest and made me say, okay, well, I actually like this. This is actually one of my favorite highlights of this show. Okay, I'm with this. They've continued to do a okay job there with the Bray, Nikki, Alexa aspect. So I can't wait to see Bray Wyatt interacting with Nikki and just how far they're really going to crank this up a notch. Is it possible, just putting this out there, something to marinate for you guys, is it possible that as things intensify between Lexi and Nikki, that Bray Wyatt reawakens a personality, a side of Nikki Cross that's been dormant for quite some time since her days in Sanity? Do we maybe see him bring that out in hopes that maybe he can somehow harness that dark power on his side and build even more this creepy family that he has going on here, this new family that he has going on here? Is it possible that, because when you really stop and think about it, Bray Wyatt and the whole Fiend thing, it's got a weird combination. Yeah, we know about the whole Comedy Central / Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse, Tim and Eric, awesome show, great job. It's got all of those nice elements to it and all. But when you really kind of take a step back and everything, it's also got elements of Nightmare on Elm Street to it. And just the way Bray Wyatt goes about his disciples. You feel where I'm coming from? So I can't help but wonder from those type of mental aspects what's going to be in store for us the next couple of weeks. But if we were to come right back here about 2 months from now, maybe even 3 months from now, and you were to tell me that Nikki hasn't been able to get things popping in this story arc, I would question, well, what's going on? Is her heart really into it, or are the writers just flubbing that badly? You feel where I'm coming from? So that's what I would say look out for. But nice element there. I mean, other than that, the main event match of the night, I'm just thinking if there was anything else that piqued my interest in a positive way. Not really. I will say, look, I know a lot of people were happy to see AJ Styles, him doing his thing on commentating as Sheamus, Keith Lee, Braun Strowman. Who was the other guy? It'll come to me in a second. But basically, they were taking on Retribution. AJ Styles set this up as a tune-up match to try to have everybody get on the same page going into Survivor Series. What better way to bond with your brothers in arms getting or hitting into battle? And, oh shit, say what? I think I'm seeing some breaking news here. It looks like it's non-wrestling related here. Okay. That's non-wrestling related, but it looks like somebody's cause of death was finally revealed. I'll actually talk about that in a hot second there. Sorry about that. I just got like a notification quietly on my desktop here, and I'm like, what the hell? So I thought it was something else, but it's something that we talked about on the show a couple of weeks ago. So we'll get to that in a hot second. But no, so this is what was weird. Riddle me this a second. So let me see if I got this straight. So we got this stable called Retribution that's running around. They're causing havoc and everything. They got the creepy, watch out for Retribution. Watch out for Slapjack and Dumb Nuts and Yum Yum and Gumdrops. Watch out for these guys. Whoa, spooky, scary, vandalism. Woo, spray painting. Woo. All right, so we're told to watch out for these guys. And it seems that the entire roster is scared of these guys. These guys are running roughshod, going on both shows, doing a pay-per-view drive-by here and there. And the only men in storyline that were willing to step up to the plate, challenge the Hurt Business. Challenge Retribution was the Hurt Business, is what I was trying to say. Hurt Business makes this deal with Adam Pearce. I've got to be one of only a few podcasters that's pointing this out. Hurt Business strikes up a deal with Adam Pearce. We'll take care of your Retribution problem, and in return, you're gonna pay us in gold. Okay, well, the problem has not been truly taken care of. And yet, the Hurt Business gets these title shots, and I don't see, for storyline continuity purposes, Adam Pearce saying, hey, we still got this problem here with Retribution. We just completely abandoned the, we don't know who signed these guys to a contract after all the chaos that they've caused. We just, and mysteriously and magically, Shane McMahon has suffered from the Thanos snap. Him, the whole Raw Underground segment, just Thanos snap. That's, who? What? Never heard of it. The big dude that was looking very promising, the light-skinned big dude that kind of looks like my man from Counting Crows. We haven't seen him since he's been drafted to Raw. So, I mean, there's just a whole lot of Thanos snaps that's going on. And a whole lot of confusion as a result. But putting that to the side, while Retribution was doing all this chaos, running around, vandalism, besides the Hurt Business, nobody else really stepped up, joined forces with the Hurt Business, and tried to, okay, let's fight fire with fire. Let's eradicate these guys from the WWE once and for all. Yet, AJ Styles decides, you know what? You know what would be good male bonding? You know what we need going into Survivor Series to really put us on the same page? We needed a tag match against the guys from Retribution. I'm sorry. Look, no fault on the wrestlers. I love the men and women that perform for us every single week, busting their ass, helping us take our minds off whatever real world problems we got going on. Because Lord knows, every time you turn on the damn news, reality-wise, it's depressing as hell. Okay? We can all agree with that. You just want to escape from that. But, Jesus, can we please have a little decorum and a bit of storyline consistency here? You know how bipolar that sounds. So we're going to ignore Retribution. Oh, man, they ran over this sweet old lady just now. Oh, that's Retribution. Oh, man, okay. Oh, man, my car was destroyed. Oh, man, looks like Retribution did. Yeah, well, yeah, that's Retribution. Yeah, what can you do? Oh, man, I just went to the ATM machine and it was destroyed and all the money is gone. Retribution, okay. Like, if there was ever time to shake your fist and just, yeah, and then all these heinous acts, and now we get to this point where just all of a sudden, you know what'd be good right now? It's like you're just kicking back on the sofa. I don't know what I want to eat for dinner. I'll have some Retribution. That's how it kind of, it was lazy. That's my point. It was lazy. Didn't particularly care for that. Good tag match. Here's the other thing. Mustafa Ali as the leader of Retribution. Just, I got to be honest here. That's what you expect, right? Honesty, after all. Riddle me this with regards to Mustafa Ali. We've seen some leaders in our times. You think about Shawn Michaels, original form of DX. Then you think about when Triple H took over. You think about Bray Wyatt with the Nexus. You think about Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family. You think about CM Punk, the core. You think about CM Punk and the other stable that he had going on there, Straight Edge Society. You think about them. You think about when Edge had the whole cabinet thing going on. You think about when JBL had his little thing going on. I mean, examples after examples after examples. But there was some type of bravado. There was some type of gusto with that leader for every single one of those stables. And the way that leader operated, there was no shadow of doubt that not only was this person the leader of that stable, but if you had some type of problem with that leader did not need anybody else to fight his own battles. He will frickin' put 5 up beside your head and he will knock your ass in the next Sunday. That's how well that leader could handle their own business. My biggest problem right now that I have with the way Mustafa Ali is being booked as the leader of Retribution, he's coming off more as a chicken shit leader. Excuse the French. I just, how I'm seeing it, cowardly, courage the cowardly dog, so to speak. I didn't really like the way that things were executed with him going in there as the leader and roll up, squeezing out the win there, and then running like a little. I didn't really like that. If we're gonna have that come from anybody else, okay, that's fine. And look, being a leader is so much more than handle that. Pointing around, do that, squash that, yeah, get that, yeah, turn around, hit that, give me that. It's so much more than that. But I'm not feeling it. I'm just not feeling Mustafa Ali as a leader right now. Let me tell you something. And I think eventually, I'm looking in the crystal ball, and it's safe to say eventually this is going to happen, and it would be sad. But with what we've been getting of Ali thus far, let me tell you what I'm thinking. And maybe it'll happen. But Mustafa Ali's storyline right now comes off as the type of leader where you just can't help but say, all of these men that are, and women that are surrounding themselves by this guy, these guys are 2-3 times bigger than this guy. Why are you taking your cues from this guy? Like seriously, why have you aligned yourself with this guy over here? What type of mystical, mesmerizing powers does he have that makes you want to fight for him? It'd be one thing if we got, I'll tell you this, here's a good comparison. This will knock the argument that I'm making out of the ballpark in a nutshell. Because it has nothing to do really with his size. Not at all. It's all about the personality. Close your eyes for a second. Revisit wrestling history. Can you just take Mustafa Ali out of there? I just complimented the hell out of this guy upon his return to Impact Wrestling's Turning Point pay-per-view event. There is a post show I did on that. It's available on demand in the downloads wherever you get your podcasts. Sean Daivari. I mean, best freaking shape of his life right now. And I thought this guy was in his 40s. This guy is still in his 30s. A little bit on the late 30s side, but, still in his 30s. It's going to be a couple of years before he hits 40. Ripped as I don't know what. As far as when the mic goes, my man can hang with the best of them. He can shred it on the mic. And that wasn't always the case for Sean Daivari. That wasn't something that just overnight. It's taken some time for him to get to a point where he can cut promos with the best of them. Could you just imagine a guy like Sean Daivari as the leader of Retribution? Just close your eyes and picture that. And if you are at a point right now where, sadly, it's been a couple of years, I actually haven't seen the work of Sean Daivari, so I can't really comment on that. Okay, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one, no problem. But you still kind of see the point that I'm making. Hell, I was gonna say Alberto Del Rio, but look, League of Urination, let's just forget about that. Or as some of you guys were kind of going, some of you guys were toying with the idea of CM Punk behind Retribution. Well, we saw how that panned out, and we're not getting that. Doesn't look like we're getting that anytime soon, so we can continue to dream on about that. But you get the point that I'm making. And to me, it just feels like eventually the members of Retribution, they're gonna eventually reject Mustafa Ali. I could almost see a scenario play out where on top of them rejecting him, I can just see them abandoning him when it counts the most. I can honestly just see that. It's weird. It's really, really weird what's going on there with the whole Retribution. I'm very indifferent when it comes to Retribution. It's like, oh, Retribution, they're on my TV. Okay. All right, cool. There, and that's the sad part. Because early on there was many opportunities to save this stable just by connecting those holes in your story arc. But when you've continued to just let it lapse, and then add on top of that, you have more questionable, wait a minute, why are we, you just get to a point where you go, I throw in the towel. I just give up. And it sucks, but it's true. And the biggest casualties of it all is those men and women of that stable, because not for nothing, but every single one of them in their own respected right, they're phenomenal freaking talents. I'll say this on a positive note. At least they're getting their TV time, and at least they're getting that money. But at what cost? As far as overall, long term, the damage that it's doing to their cachet. Can't help but wonder. Other than that, just looking at the rest. Lana going through the announcer's table again for about the 9th goddamn time. Hey, I chuckled hard at that one. Mark my words. Mark my words. Lana is going to be the reason why Team Raw wins for their respective women's match. Mark my words on that. Interesting development had came from, speaking of that whole women's Team Raw taking on the Team SmackDown for the ladies side. In a new update, Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, they suffered some severe, in storyline now, they suffered some severe injuries as a result of that match and everything. If I remember it right too, I could have sworn there was something of a beatdown that went down backstage as well. Don't really quote me on that, but when it's all said and done, before Raw went off the air, we found out by Adam Pearce that due to the injuries that Dana and Mandy sustained, they were out of Team Raw at Survivor Series, taking their place. Man, if you wanted to create some type of buzz and try to lure people into, hey, well, maybe Charlotte Flair, maybe Naomi, or maybe, nah, you can pretty much forget about that. You can forget about that. The announcements were named. No Naomi. No freaking Charlotte Flair. How I miss Charlotte Flair. No, their replacements are going to be Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans. Hey, I'm happy for them. Get that payday. Make that appearance. Get that 15 minutes of camera time. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Let me expand upon it a little bit more. At least the team of Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, at least they're clicking. At least you're looking at those girls and you're saying, damn, you know what? I have a change of heart. I'm actually coming around on Dana Brooke. I'm getting a little bit warmed up to Dana Brooke. Okay, all right. Hey, nothing wrong with Mandy. Okay, these girls are clicking. Peyton Royce, Lacey Evans. Look, I love Lacey. Love Lacey. You ain't gonna find me shitting on Lacey. Probably the only thing I don't like about Lacey is the foghorn leghorn freaking joint. That's probably the only thing that I don't like. I see a question being asked. About streaming. We're streaming on multiple platforms. Look, man, that's the way the real estate is these days. Everybody and their mother is now doing a podcast, sadly. That's the real estate now. Everybody and their mother. I was actually one of the first to do podcasts for wrestling shows before the real estate opened up, because we've been at this since 2011. But there was a period there where I had took a little bit of a hiatus. It didn't even last that long. It was maybe about 3 months or whatever, but it really exploded a couple of years back when I did that hiatus, and a lot of competition, man. A lot of competition. I mean, I always tell folks that discover the show for the very first time and they enjoy, you like what I do, you want to represent, make sure on top of subscribing, you're also staying connected throughout social media. You're leaving the ratings and reviews. It really helps more people discover the show with more ease. Sometimes good old-fashioned word of mouth is how it all goes down. But at the end of the day, I don't eat, sleep, breathe this, unlike some people. Yeah, I mean, teach us own. We got some people, they'll do a show 5, 6, 7 days a week. I ain't got time for that. Like, I neither do you guys. Come on, at the end of the day. I mean, some of you guys do. I'm not knocking you, but some of you guys do. But, for some of us, like myself, got work. As I made the announcement last week, I'm going to be going back to college next spring. Matter of fact, I'm going to be talking to my counselor tomorrow, trying to figure out what classes I'm going to need to take to get my credits and everything. So that should be a fun conversation. I was going to talk about some financial aid as well, getting financial aid assistance, because we already got the ball rolling. He's like, yeah, I want you to try to go for these scholarships here. So I already applied for a couple of scholarships and all that, but looking forward to that conversation. So, priorities, and I think that's probably the one thing about me is like, life first, priority first, safety, security, family, and all that. And then the shows and all that. So, whereas some people, they can just, hey, I'm not knocking them, teach its own. But yeah, I do see what you guys are saying in the chat, though. I do see what you guys are saying in the chat. Hello to everybody. Like you guys showing up. Let's keep it rocking and rolling. Here's the thing. Here's one thing that's hilarious that I will say. I notice when I stream the shows on Facebook, for whatever respected reason, I get guys from Africa. I get guys from India. I get guys from Pakistan. I get guys from Algeria. And it's like, when I go on their profile, when I go look them up, I pull up their profile. Like, there's one guy that just literally followed as I'm speaking to you guys right now in real time at 12:09 a.m. on the East Coast. And I bullshit you not. This is the same MO. Every single time I click on a profile on Facebook of the newest follower, I can see straight up that when I pull them up, other than a picture of them, there's nothing that has anything to do with wrestling. There's nothing as far as hobbies. There's nothing. And so when you look at shit like that, you go, oh yeah, we got to block that, because that's essentially a fake profile when it's all said and done. It's hilarious. And it's only on Facebook. I don't know what that is. I don't know if you guys have been noticing that as well. It's only on Facebook. When you're streaming live, you'll get like some weird people, and when you pull up their freaking profile, like they're from India, Pakistan, Africa, and like no wrestling, nothing whatsoever. And you're just going, okay, all right, whatever, dude, whatever. Team of Dana Brooke, Mandy Rose, Asuka picking up the W there in that women's tag match that I was talking about a couple seconds ago, because the team was Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Lana taking on the team of Dana Brooke, Mandy Rose, Asuka. Now, look, I did tell you guys Lana went through a table for the 9th time. Well, not for nothing, but leading up to this match, Shayna, Nia, they told Lana, you might be part of our team, but we still don't like you. We're going to do this tag match. Do not tag yourself in under any circumstances. I'm telling you that right now. So when you hear that before the match, what are you saying to yourselves? She's going to tag herself in. Duh. And that's exactly what happened. And just when you thought that maybe Lana was going to pull the W here, shock Nia and Shayna, and maybe they get a little bit more warmed up to her. Nah. On the contrary, in story, Lana loses. Nia, Shayna, they troll her for a little bit. Hey, what you did there, that was a lot of heart. You did okay. You all right. And then they put her through a table and said, psych. So, no, I'm telling you guys straight up, I have a strong feeling that Lana is going to win it. Otherwise, if Lana doesn't win it for the girls on Team Raw this weekend, then what's the whole point of the 9 weeks going through a goddamn table? That I ask of you, for when it counts the most. Kind of weird. Other than that, I'm quickly going through the rest of Monday Night Raw, just trying to see if there's anything else I really need to be talking about here. Raw Tag Team Championship match. Good tag match. I did enjoy that. New Day coming out with the retain. Good match. Let's see. What else here? Well, I didn't particularly care for the commercial breaks, though. I got to be honest with you. Because just when it seemed like you're really getting into this match, all of a sudden you get a freaking commercial break, and it's like, then you kind of got to work yourself back into it again. But no, all 4 of those guys, shout out to them. They did good. I did enjoy their tag match. Let's see. Bray Wyatt took on The Miz. It wasn't The Fiend. It was Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt taking on The Miz. It was what it was. Short match. Nothing really to sink your teeth into. Just a couple of minutes long. if you're a fan of The Miz, you can't really help but wonder, to go back to what I was talking about earlier in the night. Miz cashing in on Roman, yeah, not happening. Miz cashing in on the Drew McIntyre, maybe. But here's the real question that you should be asking yourselves. Well, if he were to cash in on Drew, would he be successful? And that's something that I'm really not that sure about right now. 2 cents from a distance, probably going to continue to have The Miz tease cashing in the briefcase. Looking in the crystal ball here, he just got that briefcase, what? This past month's pay-per-view, right? Now, here's a question that I can't help but wonder. It's a damn good question, too. Something that hasn't been addressed yet by WWE and storyline. With The Miz winning the briefcase off of Otis at the last pay-per-view, does Miz now have officially an entire year to cash in that briefcase? Or is it a case where, nah, Otis had it this long, he had these remaining months left to cash it in? That's essentially what Miz inherited. That I'm a little bit unsure about. I keep hearing them mention, commentators that is, Miz is the Money in the Bank briefcase holder, but how long does he truly have to cash it in? Reason why I bring that question up is because I'm kind of under the impression that, given everything that's going on with COVID and everything, don't be too surprised if maybe by next year's WrestleMania, maybe that's when Miz does a successful cash in. I'm calling it right now. I think Miz will cash in, but I think it's going to go down at WrestleMania. If it doesn't go down at WrestleMania, then at the very latest, I can see the night after WrestleMania. Mark that down. We'll see how I do, because normally, I get shit bullseye accurate from time to time, and a lot of you guys point that out to me. Okay, edition of Monday Night Raw. Really, the title change, Hurt Business, Alexa Bliss, Bray Wyatt, Lexi, those elements, tag match there, New Day, taking on the Hurt Business. I mean, other than that, everything else was just, and it's kind of funny too, because when you stop and think about it, 3-hour show, and you know how many matches we had? 5. Now, when you really trim the fat and you go, okay, well, you say 5 matches, but how many of them went at least about, 10 minutes or, maybe a little more? Well, that's where it gets kind of interesting, because really 2 matches. So, it is what it is. Hey, I want to thank you for checking out this edition of the RCWR show. Look, if you guys are enjoying the show so far, please make sure you go out of your way. You haven't done so already. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and click on the bell. Click that little notification bell. Make sure you select all so you don't miss out on all the great content that comes your way on a weekly basis. And for more bonus content, check out the Patreon. Patreon.com/RCWR show. You guys can check out more bonus content, exclusive shows you're not going to be able to find anywhere else. $5 a month, get you access to all of those goodies. Shout out to our Patreon members, by the way. Shout out to Gino Morgan. Shout out to Justin Ripstock. Shout out to Freddie. Shout out to Michael Wolf. John Davis. Special shout out to Tony Being Gaming. Tips, tricks, news, walkthroughs, reviews covering Marvel's Avengers by Square Enix, Marvel Strike Force, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. He's got your hookup. He's on YouTube, and he's got a Patreon paywall as well. So check them out. Appreciate them. And also shout out to our sponsors as well. Love our sponsors. Been a few we've been working with for the past couple of shows now. Appreciate working with them. I'll get into some sponsor shout outs a little bit later on. Let me see how we're doing on Showtime here, because I sadly did not hit my record button before we went live here. So let me see how we're doing on the show here. Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? Trying to see how we're doing on the show record here. Oh, that's not bad at all. We've only been on the air for less than an hour, so that's pretty good. You all able to see the stream okay? I'm seeing, hang on here. Let me see here. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. For some weird reason, guys, I'm showing, looks like connected through Restream here. And I'm showing a blank screen, so that's why I'm asking if you guys are able to see the show okay here. Hang on a second. Because I'm curious what you guys are seeing here. Give me a holler if you guys are still watching me live. I'm gonna check YouTube real quick. Seems kind of weird. Let's see here. Let me see here, and I just want to open that up. Nah, you guys are good. Okay, that's kind of weird. I don't know why, but I was under the impression there was some type of weirdness going on. Let me see where you guys are right here. Nah, you guys are good. Okay, I hear exactly where you guys are at right now because there's like about a 30-second delay from what you guys are actually able to see. All right, so let's dive into some more news, yeah? So before I dive into some wrestling and non-wrestling related news, one thing I want to point out to you guys in a new update. I had a few of you reach out to me in private. Oh, yes, 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 yes. That's the email I've been waiting for. Yes, 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 yes. I just got an email notification that my pre-order, Obama's A Promised Land, is now available for download. So by the time I go back, it's going to instantly be available on my iPad. So I'm going to be enjoying that while I'm watching the news. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. True story, over the weekend, I actually had pre-ordered the hardcover copy of that book because I was trying to get it for my girl for Christmas. Don't tell her. And I'm like, okay, hey, I'm good. I'm going to have this on the official, street release date or whatever. And the weirdest thing freaking happened. I go in to check the order status, and they're saying, we don't have an ETA when this is going to become available. And I'm kind of like, the fuck? And I'm like, okay. So, and normally when you see something like that, that lets you know, oh, there's a lot of people that's ahead of you. It's going to be maybe several weeks because everybody wants a physical copy, of that book right now. So if you're kind of like me, you don't mind reading something off the tablet, not to mention save you an extra $10 in the process because picking it up on your Kindle or on your tablet device is basically $18 versus $28. Oh, but then you got to think about shipping, so you're probably going to be spending about maybe up to $35. I say to you guys, go ahead, have at it, and check out the tablet version of it, because that's what I'm doing. And remember what I was saying a couple of minutes ago about Pakistani and or African, and we got another one. It's fucking hilarious. We got another one. And let's see. I love doing this because it's so hilarious. I love doing this. So we're gonna do it again. And we're gonna see what happens this go round. We're gonna see if it's an actual real person, or if it's a spam bot, basically. Let's see what we got going on here. I love this. This is shit that happens from time to time, just off the fly. I love it. All right, so let's see what happened here. So we're going to type in this person's name. I'm not going to mention the person's name because I don't want people going, oh, yeah, let me freaking harass them. No. Let them be. And let me see here. Nah, I don't see him. I don't see him. I think this one tried to be slick, and they tried to do a little drive-by. Let's see here real quick. Nah. Yeah, this one tried to be slick and do a quick little drive-by. But here's the best part, what they don't know. We have a second admin for our Facebook page. So I guarantee you I'll be able to see them under the other one. And while I'm loading that up for you guys, since I was just talking about Obama there, look, it's kind of rare I mention politics and all that on the show and everything. But I want to point this out to you guys. Over the weekend, for those of you that are Obama fans and everything, and maybe you had missed it, there was a really good 60-minute interview that he did with Scott Pelley. And I got to tell you, man, I really, really had enjoyed that interview. It was wide ranging. There was a lot of topics that was covered. Of course, what's going on with the whole pandemic, that was talked about. What was probably one of the most enlightening was the fact that the president was asked, okay, you kind of saw all these warning signs with regards to the current president and his administration. And, you had many of your constituents saying to you, hey, you should really be vocal about this. What's going on? Where are you when we need you most? And, you've pretty much been silent the entire time that the president has been doing his thing. Why is that? And his answer was quite simple. It was, look, I didn't want to be disrespectful to the president and his administration. The last thing I wanted to do, I'm paraphrasing, but last thing I wanted to do was come off as a dick. It's like I had my time in the sun. Now it's this president's time. If anything, I wanted to be in a position of, just letting the cards play out where it was going to play out. Should I have been more outspoken? Should I have been more vocal about some of the things that this president was doing? Yes, I should have. That's on me. I gotta own that. So, it was nice. It was nice hearing him man up to that. Because that's something that I wasn't expecting him to man up to. Of course, everybody has this misconception that this current president and his administration, they are basically responsible for the toxicity that's currently going on, with regards to social media, and, the right is essentially against the left, all this great division that's going on. But, not for Obama. Obama said, not for nothing, but you saw this in the air before I even left office. You saw this playing out really as soon as I became elected, but it intensified over the course of his years in office. And then when he won re-election, that's when it really started to magnify, especially towards the end. And if anything, he said, no, what Trump was able to do was capitalize brilliantly off of that. And that's essentially what got him in the office. And he's absolutely right. He is absolutely right. It was a very, very insightful interview. Scott Pelley, I thought he did a phenomenal job. They talked a little bit here and there about some of the stuff that he said in his book, again, which is out right now. I know one thing that was kind of a hot button was the pick of Sarah Palin as the VP for John McCain. And I won't rehash that because, he pretty much talks about that in the book. And I'm sure by now a lot of you guys have probably heard about that. But check it out. I don't know if you guys might be able to see it on demand or on the downloads. But when you guys get a chance, Check it out. It was a really, really good interview. You won't be disappointed, I promise you. Now, for you guys that's wondering in that update, Lee, what's going on there with that person that you had mentioned earlier there? Survey says, I'll tell you in a second here. I will tell you in a second because I'm typing in their name as we speak. And nothing. Yeah, it's weird. This person did like a quick drive-by. They basically had liked the page and then they had unliked the page. So it was kind of hilarious how they did it. I guess they didn't like the fact that I was mentioning the people that I was mentioning, and maybe they just wanted to do a quick little drive-by. It is what it is. All right, so Zelena Vega. Again, we talked about this just a couple of days ago. Some new information had came out, so I will talk about that, but I don't want to be all long-winded with this when it's all said and done, because I'm sure by now some of you guys have probably made your rounds checking out what other podcasts had to say about this whole situation. All right, so, and here's the thing. I, unlike some people, am going to give credit where credit is due, because one of the first people that was actually pretty spot on, I won't say great minds think alike, because my takeaways, as far as my 2 cents from a distance, me and them, we pretty much were matching up, but then I went in one direction and they went in another direction, and they had an edge over me because they had connections, and they actually, through their own investigating, was able to find out, okay, no, this is actually, what my sources are telling me, this is what went down. And then it turns out the news that came out, really by Sports Illustrated, that confirmed what was going on. But I want to give credit where credit is due, because he was the first person to, this is what my sources are telling me, and that's Don Tony. And I told him straight up, I said, you should get a lot more credit, and he should, because, he's been at it for so long, much longer than me. And once in a while, I get my own little news scoops here and there once in a while, but I don't know what it is, but for some respected reason, we're in this day and age right now where you have a lot of dirt sheets, a lot of websites. They just decide, well, that's from a small fry mom and pop podcast. Let's just take that news for ourselves, and we'll just say that, we freaking did it. That's our news. And it fucking sucks, but DT definitely deserves a lot more props. He definitely deserves a lot more credit than the lack that's being given to him when he breaks news and everything. But everybody, we both definitely were on the same page on this standpoint, which is everybody was under the impression that Zelena Vega got fired for a tweet. First of all, you know how stupid that sounds? I mean, just really take a step back and think about how stupid that sounds. Everybody that was trying to go all Perry Mason looking at the freaking timestamp of Zelena Vega's tweet, and then when WWE put out what they put out, and just, no, it had nothing to do with what she said about supporting unionization. It had nothing to do with that whatsoever. That's not what got her fired. That tweet did not get her fired. Sports Illustrated, great job. No, what officially got her fired was, and we need to understand, over the summer, Vince McMahon personally reached out to all of his talents that were doing their thing on Twitch or Mixer or, wherever, and said, hey, no more of this third-party stuff. No more streaming on this. Look, you guys got enough time to get your affairs in order, but I need you guys to be done with these platforms by such and such. And if anything, there was an extension, because the original deadline, if I'm not mistaken, the original deadline, I believe, maybe by late September, they actually were supposed to comply. But there was actually an extension given. It was extended into late October, essentially. And Zelina Vega was one of those individuals that tried to do her very best to fight that off. Yeah, and rightfully so. Look, I'm not about, you know me, especially if you've been listening to the show for a significant period of time. I don't like going all up in people's financial business. All right. It's like, because that's really none of my business. But with the information that is put out there, just assuming for the sake of the argument, okay, it's legit as far as the numbers that Zelena is making off of a platform like a Twitch. I'll tell you this. What I watched of her stream shortly after she had got her release, and she essentially spent the first hour thanking everybody that was donating to her. I mean, I don't know if you guys had watched it, but look up the video that she did. Oh, God, there was some video she did. Matter of fact, let me see if I can actually pull it up. If I can actually pull it up on my Twitch. Real quick, because I'm trying to figure out if there was like a title that she gave that video, but it was definitely something that she put out on Friday, and hopefully I'm following her on Twitch. Let me see here. I don't think I am. See what happens if I say Zelena. Ah, there she is. Okay, and I can tell you right now, the video was, hang on. That wasn't it. Okay, so it's a video that was done 3 days ago. Basically, she's wearing cat ears. Look like a cat ears, cat outfit. And she's got headphones on, like pink and white headphones. Right now, the video at this point, it's got 56.1K views. So check that video out. Yeah, it was like for almost an entire hour. She was just, thank you, thank you. Because I was just watching the donations just coming in, and I'm going, Jesus, like, okay, you're on to something here. But my point, of all the WWE superstars, I mean, she definitely was killing it on the Twitch, monetary wise. She's bringing in the money. But the whole Twitch thing, they were trying to get her to comply. They were trying to get her to turn over that Twitch account. Yeah, hey, you got to turn that in. No more third party. Nope, that's done. And Zelena wasn't having any of that when it's all said and done. She pleaded her case. WWE pleaded, their case, or rather stood their ground and told her, okay, we hear you, but this is how it is. This is how it's going to be. Zelena being very defiant. What was officially the final straw, and again, Sports Illustrated was able to confirm this, was she essentially had created a OnlyFans account. So that's really, I spit in the face of people who don't want to be cool. Or in this case, I spit in the face because I want to be defiant. For WWE, that's, okay, we just told you, we gave all the talents an extension to meet this deadline, and yet you're still, now, before anybody makes the argument of, well, that OnlyFans account that she created, it wasn't even in her name. Very true. It was not in her name. You had to go out of your way to ask around and find it. I mean, unless you were staying on top of this specific news leading up to her release, 9 times out of 10, you weren't even aware that she had an OnlyFans account going on. And the OnlyFans account, it wasn't anything. Now, look, I will admit, there were some artists in the past whose work I supported on OnlyFans. So I know exactly how OnlyFans work and everything. OnlyFans is and it's sad that OnlyFans has this rep now, because there are actually a lot of people that are utilizing OnlyFans correctly. But when you think of OnlyFans, for those of you that don't know what the hell that's about, OnlyFans in today's age is all about, okay, so for 10, 15, 25, $30 a month, I can get access to this person's content, porn. That's really what it's become now. It's become a hub for, and they look, full disclosure, there was a time where I was supporting legendary porn actress Nina Hartley. You guys want a nice retro thing to check out? Go check out my retro interview that I did with her from several years back. Cool interview. I mean, she was just, I mean, we went all over the place. We talked sex, we talked politics, we talked real world shit. It was awesome. It was awesome. One of these days, I definitely gotta have her back on the show again and just have at it, have another round. But I remember at one point she had a OnlyFans account, and I actually was checking out her content for a little bit. So that's what OnlyFans has become now, but there actually are legitimate people that are, using it right. They're not trying to sell ass and all that. So in Zelena's case, all she was doing with her OnlyFans account, made it under a completely different name. I don't know if it was under her own name or it wasn't under Zelena Vega. That much I remember, but she was cosplaying basically. We know that's something that Leva Bates, April Hunter, a couple of other girls, that's something that they do on a monthly basis. They do cosplay and they charge X amount and all that. And that's exactly what Zelena was doing with her OnlyFans. If you wanted autographs from her, she was selling those, hefty price to be paying for them. I think at one point she had something as far as 10 autographs, $1,000, something along those lines. So you're like, wait a minute. So 200 a picture or some shit like that. However you break that down, what I say, 10 pictures for 1,000? Is that what I said? Or 2,000? I mean, so girl, look, if you can get that money, if that's what you asking for and people are paying that, make that fucking money. Make that fucking money. But that was the final straw. And WWE said, no, you're done. So they hit her up. It looks like the way things have panned out, take it with a grain of salt until, we hear from her and everything that came about, with the release. But it looks as though when it came to this past Friday's SmackDown, she did show up early, for the rehearsals, for the taping and all of that. And that's when she was informed, hey, nah, you're done. And they explained to her, because, no, you're OnlyFans. Like, come on. Like, we already told you with the Twitch. Like, come on. And so that's what got her axed. Now, how do I personally feel hearing that? My answer may surprise you because I look at this from a couple of different angles. I'll try not to be long-winded. Let's look at it from an employer standpoint. Hey, XYZ. It would be no different than saying to somebody, are you okay? Why do you keep showing up late for work? You keep showing up late for work, we're eventually going to have to write you up. And if that doesn't correct you, then we're going to have to suspend you. And if that doesn't work, then we're just going to have to fire you altogether. Just imagine if your employer is talking to you about your tardiness and then your no-call, no-show attendance. And just imagine the very next shift you're supposed to work, you call out. And your employer, you've literally spit in the face of your employer. I mean, they got a couple of options from that point going on. So to a degree, I understand where WWE is coming from. At the same time, I totally get where Zelena is coming from. Any one of us could be in that same position where we're essentially making more money and then some as opposed to being a WWE superstar. I mean, let's really break this down for a second, folks. Let's really break this down for a second. Ain't no live house shows. I mean, that's a thing of the past for the time being. So there's no money to get at the gates. So take that off. Furthermore, pay-per-views? Okay, well, how exactly does that work out in this day and age? As far as how much the wrestlers are going to be getting and everything. How exactly does that work out? What about merchandise? How exactly does merchandise work out? Okay, if we aren't doing the live house shows, like nowhere in the world, we aren't doing live house shows where we create great opportunities for fans to buy merch. Okay, so how are we going to make up for that? Okay, well, you got WWE Shop, and we'll promote whatever sales is going on and everything. But still, you can't help but wonder, with everything that's going on, you know, how much wage-wise from those respected outlets those talents are losing. Now, let's think about the WWE Network. I mean, essentially gone are the days, and we were reminiscing about this a couple of weeks ago on the show about, hey, remember those times where there used to be some kick-ass WWE DVDs that would come out and you couldn't wait to go to FYE to pick this up about this wrestler, or, you know, go here, or Best Buy, or whoever. All right, well, those days are essentially gone because now WWE is very persistent on releasing new original content on the WWE Network. So you're looking at that, you're going, okay, well, can't really tap into. Okay, so how does that exactly work out for the wrestlers? Okay, let's think about other merchandise. Okay, how about video games, right? Big IP there when it comes to the video games. All right, well, unless you're featured on those video games, and there's a big difference. Just because your model and all that was scanned and you're in the video game, that doesn't mean anything. The real question you got to be asking yourself is, okay, am I actually on the game, or am I going to be part of DLC content? And sadly, do enough research, you'll find this out yourself. Those that are essentially DLC, what they're getting is a lot lower than, say, the John Cena's, the Randy Orton's, insert whatever name, Ruby Riott, the cut is different. Okay, so looking at the video games, all right, how much money exactly is coming in? So my point, not that much money is being generated for that talent during these times. So what is a talent to do? A talent is essentially going to do whatever they need to do by any means necessary to stay cash flow positive. They got to make up for what they are now missing somehow, especially when WWE is not creating those opportunities. Speaking about opportunities, put this in the back of your mind for a hot minute. Sasha Banks, Mandalorian. There's a reason why. Just keep that in the back of your head. So a wrestler's got to do something. It's no different than what me, you, everybody else around the world is doing right now during this pandemic. Oh man, I lost this job. Or man, the hours from this job is really lacking. I got to make up that money somehow. What am I to do? Okay, if I got to go be an Uber driver, and pick up people or do Uber Eats, okay, so be it. If I have to deliver newspapers, so be it. If I gotta work for Instacart, okay, so be it. Like, we're improvising. We're doing what we need to do to somehow generate that lost revenue that, you understand? Okay, so that's essentially what people like Zelena Vega, that's essentially what Zelena Vega was doing. And now that you see how successful somebody is and X amount of money that they're generating, to each its own. That want to talk about how much she's making. I don't like dipping into people's pockets. You can say to me that, but it's publicly out there, the paperwork, Freedom of Information Act, I don't like invading. All I care about is being entertained. But let's just say for shits and giggles, she's making more money than, let's just go with it. That's being put out there. Let's go with it. So for WWE to come along and say, hey, we need a piece of that. If you want to keep doing that, you got to give us a piece. And I mean, can you just imagine having that conversation? Just imagine having that conversation. It's like, okay, wait a minute. I'm already splitting it. And however it is, 70% my way and Twitch or whoever, they get the 30%, however it's being broken down. But now you got WWE coming in, and that 70% that was all you, now that's going to be cut even more. And if you're lucky, maybe, just maybe, you'll get 40 to 50% of that. Yeah, I would be fucking throwing my fist in the air as well, especially considering that these talents are doing these things on Twitch and all of these other outlets on their own personal time. That's the key thing. They're doing it on their own personal time. I remember a long time ago, half the age that I am right now, and it was my first go around working in security. I used to love when my shift was over, because when my shift was over, I could just go straight home. I could go straight home and I could hang out with my friends. We go get our drink on, whatever. And I used to always be asked if I could work an extra hour or two, or if I could cover somebody's shift. And I said, no, I'm good. And, I remember at one point I used to lie. I used to say, nah, I'm getting ready to go to my other job. And I remember one day my boss had said, well, if you need more hours, why not just work here? And I came clean to him. I said, look, I'm going to give it to you right between the eyes. I do my 8 and I escape. That's it. I'm all about my personal time. And what I do on my personal time, I like to do. That's my business. And in this case, I like spending my personal time with friends and family. I'm a young person. I'm not interested in working myself to death and hardly having anything to show for. Like, that might be good for you, but I don't care for that. And that was the last time that conversation was ever brought up. So, again, what these men and women do on their own personal time, that's their own personal time. That's their own sacred time. These men and women are putting these accounts in their own names, and for WWE to come off, WWE just had one of their, and they were touting this, they just had one of their most successful quarters compared to previous years. And you can't, under the circumstances, just look the other way. And look, I know from the many people that have done shoot interviews, podcast interviews with regards to Vince McMahon, they say all this guy does is eat, sleep, breathe WWE. A lot of people feel that he's very disconnected. He doesn't really know what's going on outside of that WWE bubble. He couldn't tell you, as far as movies go for 2020, what were some of the best films that came out? What was some of the best music that came out from 2020? Best TV shows? All he does is eat, sleep, breathe WWE. I say that to bring up this point. This move by Vince McMahon in the WWE, for me personally, has to be one of the dumbest, not the smartest, all-time fuck-ups for the company's history. And I'm explaining the reason why. First of all, I think somebody's got to have that real tough talk with Vince McMahon and say, this ain't the 70s anymore. This ain't the 80s. This ain't the 90s. This ain't the early 2000s. We can't keep operating the way that we've been doing, not without ramifications. To my point, somebody should have said to him, with the election coming up, Trump just might be a one-term president, Are you sure you want to go down this path? Where was the legal representation? Where was the legal counsel / advice when it was needed the most for Vince and saying, look, if you go down this path, this is what you're potentially gonna be opening up. Are you sure you want to go down this direction? Because anybody else, well, yeah, you know, political season. Think about some of your all-time favorite shows that deal with law enforcement, government, all of that. And normally you'll come across some episode where, well, can we get this done? Can we pass this by the budget? Can we? I'd like to, but you know, we got fall coming up, midterms, re-election. I'm trying to, man, if I tackle this right now, that might cost me the election. So I'm trying to win my seat back. So how about we talk about it after the election? Everything smooths out. I'm still at the helm. We'll talk about it then. If there was ever a time to, you know, and I said this last week, but I'll reiterate it again. If there was ever a time to, hey, hands off, let's just, the Twitch and all that, let's let it be. Let's revisit this the beginning of the new year. Once the new president, you know, whether it's this guy or this guy is still at the helm, regardless, let's just wait until after January. We'll revisit all of this and we'll go from there. Can I just bring up a fact that I brought up a couple of days ago that was a really good idea and still is a great idea? Why not just let all the talent that currently signed to WWE prior to this decision being made with Twitch and all of these other outlets, okay, you all can keep your deals. You all can keep your deals, but we've got new contracts drawn up. We've changed the language in our contracts. So now any new talent that comes in, they aren't going to be able to get what you're going to be able to get. There's no way they're going to be grandfathered into what you guys currently have. You guys keep what you have, and that's okay. You know, we're just going to tear up these old contracts. We're going to change it. That's the smartest thing that you can, and the right thing that you should do. No different than the real world. How many times, if you've been fortunate enough, you know, you have a subscription to something and the price goes up, but you're told, hey, since you've been with us for this period of time, we're going to allow you to stay at this same rate. But everybody else that's, you know, coming in, you know, after you from this day going forward, this is the new price that they're going to have to pay, but you're forever going to stay locked in at this price. Hell, that type of analogy I just gave, in a lot of cases, for those of you that are still renting an apartment, you know, condo or whatever, that still rings true. Where after a certain period of time, you're paying your rent because you've been there for so many years, you just stay at one particular rate while everybody else is essentially paying, you know, that's just the fluctuation. That's just how it goes and everything. That would have been the smartest thing that WWE should and still can do. But no, they are being money-grubbing vampires. And I respect the hell out of Zelena Vega standing her ground and saying, no, you know, if this is how it's going to be, then no, I'm standing my ground. No, you want to fire me? Go ahead. Look, Zelena Vega, when it's all said and done, didn't quite have the cachet as Paige. Didn't quite have the cachet as she was getting there though. Didn't quite have the cachet of the AJ Lee, but she was getting there. I'll never understand, and maybe she can shed light on it in a future interview, but I'll never understand how was the decision made to have her stop being a mouthpiece for, think about it. I mean, she was literally the AJ Lee for WWE at one point. She was managing Austin Theory, Angel Garza, Pepe Le Pew Garza. And you're going, man, this is a nice little stable that she has going on here. I mean, I told you guys, I was very complimentary of her. I said, my girl Zelina Vega is following in the footsteps of Vicky Guerrero, and this girl is still young. I'm not talking about Zelina Vega, but this other girl that I'm getting ready to compare her to, she is still very young, but with everything she's been doing in the wrestling industry so far, my gosh, she is gonna be making an impact for years to come, especially just from the standpoint she knows how to do things from a production standpoint. But Zelena Vega was also reminding me of oh God, I just had her, Selena De La Renta. She was also reminding me a lot of her. And I'm going, man, yeah, this is what's up. And then all of a sudden we just strip all of these things away and we just do this hard 180 and we go in a direction of, no, we're just going to have you be a pro wrestler. Just get in the ring and look, good match that she had there with Asuka. I'll admit that. I know a lot of people were ripping the fact out of, how tiny she was and everything. And I remember I was one of the first that said, when people were complaining, I said, did we all forget how small AJ Lee was? And we all adored her. Like what the hell? And I jumped out there. I said, nah, I said, for what she did in TNA, the work that she was doing, in ring rise, she's a good competitor. My gripe was, this is such a hard 180 and it's just so random. One week for a series of weeks, you're eating caviar and you're drinking $1,000 sips of champagne, and now it just comes to a screeching halt. After a certain amount of weeks, we find after the 24th week, now you just show up, you got cheese whiz on a fucking cracker, and you're drinking Kool-Aid. It's like, wait a minute, what happened to the $1,000 sips of champagne and the freaking caviar? Like, what happened? And that's literally how I felt WWE did Zelina. So I would love to know, of course, her story to tell, but I would love to know, did she say to the people in the back, I want to wrestle more? Put me out there. I want to showcase what I can do. I'm more than a manager, or what? Because I felt her strongest point was what she was doing as a manager. That's just me. To each its own, but that's just me. But in either case, she was really building up an impressive portfolio. And I will jump out there and prove me wrong. But it seemed like the trajectory she was going, for me, it seemed like she was going to eventually match what AJ, Vicky were doing, maybe even surpass. And now, at least in the realm of the WWE universe, we'll never really know. But she's got my respect for, standing her ground and doing her thing. Like I said, this is totally bad timing for WWE right now because of the election. And then, look, I know everybody, Andrew Yang. Oh, Andrew Yang. Look, Andrew Yang, I told you guys, and I'll continue to say it again. Look, I got nothing personal against Andrew Yang. But this is how I look at somebody like Andrew Yang. You know that one friend, everybody's got that one friend in their household that goes, man, I'm having problems in my relationship. Oh, what's going on? You tell your friend that problems. Man, you should leave them. Really? Yeah, you should leave them. What you think? What you think that person that you saying to, oh, you should leave? What you think they're gonna do? They're gonna go run and they're gonna tell their spouse, oh yeah, that person said I should leave you. And let me tell you something. Makes a very uncomfortable confrontation, does it not? Does it not? Okay, so Andrew Yang, as far as I'm concerned, is one of those types of individuals that's, okay, I hear you talking. I hear your advice. But brother, all due respect, you got your money. You got your money. And then some. You got your 15 minutes of fame. And then some. Andrew, if I lose my job tomorrow, you gonna take care of me and my family? Because, I mean, if you ain't going to be taking care of me and my family, I appreciate your input. I'm going to sit on it and I'm going to marinate on it. But, yeah, brother, like, and that's what I really need for people to understand and not getting so tripped up. It's funny seeing every single time something goes about, people are tagging Andrew Yang like, you know, like he's going to do something. You know, it's like, wow, that's a lot of power for one man. So, I mean, if this guy had that kind of power, gee, I don't know, maybe he should have lasted a bit longer during those debates. Yeah, maybe he should have been one of the finalists going for president of the United States. Maybe it should have been him going against Donald Trump. Yeah, then maybe we'd have an entirely different outcome where Andrew Yang would be decisively defeated by Trump. I just couldn't help but wonder, would Andrew Yang still have that same cachet talking about wrestling and Vince McMahon if it was post-election and he got defeated by Donald Trump? You see how I think, people? This is how you need to think. Not everything is just before you jump on the bandwagon and go, yeah, Andrew, get him. Yeah, getting you worked up and all that. Really take yourself out of the equation. Just have that outer body experience and just, everybody knows that one person that you'll get at your job. They're trying to look for a little favor or whatever. I can remember when I was still working in market research, I would have people that would be begging, pleading with me to figure out some type of way to get them into a focus group. And I would say, hey, you know, you just got to wait your turn. You know, we don't accept call-ins. Just go online, fill out the surveys. We'll take a look at your information. And if it meets the criteria of what our clients are looking for in order to make their focus groups be a success, you know the drill. We'll call you. We'll ask you some pre-screening questions, really validating what you submitted. And if we can invite you, we'll invite you. And I would have people from time to time, well, can't you just, submit the answers in a way where it's what they're looking for? And I would bust them flat out. I would say, well, let me ask you something. I do that. Are you going to have me and my girl move into your house? Because I guarantee you, and I'll talk to them just like that. I guarantee you I'm going to lose my job if I help you out. So when I lose my job, you going to give me and my woman a roof over our heads? You know we're thinking about having some kids, so you going to be able to handle all that? Oh, yeah, well, you know, I just, I didn't think so. And that would be the end of that conversation. So I hear what Andrew is saying. Look, again, no shade. Brings up good points, but at the same time, you know, what's the one thing I always tell you? Always question everything that you see and hear, because it's not as clear cut as you think it is. Remember, this is a man at the end of the day that has political aspirations. At the end of the day. So that's what you need to marinate on. Now, the fact that my girl from Beverly Hills 90210, Gabrielle Cavardes, is that her last name? The fact that she reached out to Zelena, look, from what I remember when I was trying to become an actor, I did study acting a long time ago, right down to the point. There was actually a couple of plays that I did. I remember going to a modeling agency, and I did my own headshot portfolio because I was deep into photography then and everything. Had all that ready to go and everything. And look, let me tell you, as far as unionization for the WWE, it's a catch-22. You know, a lot of people are saying, oh, you know, unionize. And I will go on record. I'm definitely one of those guys that feels that there should be some type of unionization going on there. There should be something. But I will definitely be the first to admit to you, it can be a slippery slope. And I will admit, it's not as clear cut as you think it is. I would be long-winded if I were to really break down pros, advantages of, doing the whole union and all that. But let me say this. SAG, AFTRA, there's definitely pros and cons to it. Off the break, better contracts, therefore money when you're booked, without a doubt. Deals and discounts, little perks that comes with being in a union, no doubt. You got a safety net of sorts because the union is always going to have your back. So if you're trying to fire somebody, you got to have so much ammunition, so much that not even the union can save your ass. Because you'd be surprised, man. There are times where somebody's cutting up and you think, oh, union ain't, and it's not enough. Union sees the point, but like that, no, they still got their job. That's not enough to, get them out of there. Cons. You would miss out on non-union projects. Okay. So take, for example, and I told you guys to have this in the back of your head and just marinate on it. So a good example of that is Sasha Banks, Star Wars Mandalorian. Now, I still did not get a chance to check out her appearance on Star Wars, but shout out to my buddy John Draper. I asked him, I said, what episode does she appear on? Because I want to watch the episode and, see how her acting was and everything. He said, oh, no, latest episode of Mandalorian. To each its own, I'm burned out from Star Wars. After Star Wars episode, what was it? Episode 3, 4, 5. I pretty much clocked out. I'm all Star Wars out. I haven't watched Mandalorian. You can tell me till you're blue in the face. It's such a great series. You're crazy. It's like I'm burned out. But I do want to watch how she did on that episode. Isn't it fucked up? I said it before, but I can't help but say it again. Isn't it fucked up that WWE doesn't have the heart to, well, look at what they did. They're so quick. Marinate on this. They're so quick to put Dave Bautista on that pedestal when behind the scenes they were laughing at him. Oh, you're gonna go be some Hollywoods. Yeah, whatever, cute, whatever. Oh, you're gonna be in some Marvel movie. Yeah, well, whatever. And now they put him on the same pedestal as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. You notice that, right? Okay, Big Show comes around from time to time. So let me see if I got this straight. So we can promote Big Show's crappy ass The Big Show on Netflix, but a show that is a slam dunk hit with many people. Even if I'm burned out, I don't particularly care for Star Wars. I recognize enough to know, well, shit, if that's what got people talking, you definitely need to show it some love. WWE can't promote one of their own for being on one of the most groundbreaking hit series that's out there. They can't promote that. What kind of shit is that? It comes off spiteful, especially from the standpoint, look, we've heard this for a long time about WWE, and you would like to believe that times are changing. Not given this latest example with Sasha and all that, but you would just like to believe, oh, hey, this is great. What's happening with our, yeah, we got to promote this. Let's do some type of cross branding, cross promotion or what. And you don't get that. You don't get no love. You know how I found out Sasha Banks did freaking Mandalorian? I just happened to be reading my Twitter feed, and somebody who I follow, who follows Sasha Banks, they basically retweeted her image. You probably seen it as well, where she's looking at herself from that Mandalorian episode on her TV. And I'm like, hey, is that Sasha? I'm like, oh, hey, cool. That's how I found out. Thanks, WWE. Not. So, I'm like this. this is a very sticky and ugly situation for WWE because when it comes to SAG, AFTRA, think about this. What they're doing right now during these COVID times, they're filming at a studio. They're filming at a studio. Okay? Something don't go right. Stop. We need to get it. We need to do that again. We need a different take. You're looping in sound effects. That sounds like a sitcom, doesn't it? Right? You're doing that. You have these talents reporting to the same. It's almost like they're going to NBC studios in Los Angeles or whatever. They're going to the same studio every single week. They're reading scripts. We've heard so many. Take your pick. John Moxley. God, who else? Jericho. There's so many. There's a whole list of people. Yeah, they give you the script. They tell you, stick to the script. Stick to the script. Can't go off the script. Stick to the script. No improvising. You gotta really stick to the script. You can't ditch the script. You're gonna get chewed out. Stick to the script. Okay? So you're reading a script. That falls under SAG. That all falls under SAG. Here's where it gets really tricky. If WWE you can't just say all wrestlers can join SAG. You can't just, first of all, you got to establish that that wrestling promotion is seen globally, that they are a nationwide phenomenon. You got to establish that. So in that argument, you can definitely put WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, maybe even to a certain degree, NWA and MLW. You might, the later ones, you could debate those, but for sure, AEW, WWE, I wonder if you could put Impact Wrestling in there as well. See, it's up for debate. It's kind of murky with some of those promotions. We can all be in agreement. It's kind of murky. But AEW and WWE, that's definitely very, very clear cut. Okay? But then, here's the other thing. If you're going to incorporate them in SAG, which I do think there's enough merit. I think there's enough grounds where WWE and AEW where that olive branch would be given, but then WWE can easily say, well, hey, we don't really want you joining SAG. And you know why? Because of everything that I just pointed out to you. If they join SAG, it's going to be extremely tough for WWE to let go of that talent. Let me tell you something. If Sasha Banks wants to, right now as I'm speaking, if she hasn't already done it, because of what Sasha Banks did for, take your pick, the cricket commercial, any commercial that she's done, and this is my message to every other WWE talent. You saw the Head and Shoulders commercial tonight with your boys, the Street Profits. That was a nice little cute commercial and all that. But look at that. The Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, cricket commercials, all those little commercials, making Sasha Banks doing her thing on The Mandalorian. Guess what? Because you did all of those things, you can officially put in an application for SAG. If you wanted to. Big Show. God, we've seen Big Show. How many projects have we seen Big Show? Most recently, Happy, the Big Show. I'd be shocked to hear if Big Show was, Paul White was not part of SAG. I'd be very shocked to hear that. For a lot of actors, and this is something that a lot of actors don't want to bring up, but for a lot of actors, once you've done at least one project, it could even be a freaking commercial. Once you've done just one project, you can enter SAG, essentially. You got to pay your fees, initiation and, all that other shit. But once you're in, you're pretty much in. And so for WWE, my question to them, this is where tickle me curious. So let me see if I got this straight. So WWE, they say that, well, we don't really like when our talents go and do movie, TV show projects outside of the WWE. because we want to keep them in-house. We can make them a star ourselves. We got WWE films. Okay. What else you got? Well, besides WWE films and TV shows and movies and all that, we also got this syndicated live show that's seen once a week, where your talents are reading scripts and all this other stuff, right? Yeah. And your talents are participating in commercials and all this other, right? Okay, well, these guys definitely qualify for SAG. Now, WWE isn't going to just take those talents by the hand and encourage them to go sign with freaking SAG for reasons that we've pretty much already gone down the list of. At the same time, here's another con to doing the whole thing with SAG. Here's another con. Some of those talents, like Randy Orton, Roman Reigns, most likely you're not gonna get those guys that's gonna rock that fence and yeah, unionization, yeah, SAG, yeah, because they're making all of their miscellaneous money. They've got their guaranteed money and all that. They're set. They're not gonna rock that boat. They aren't gonna rock that boat. No matter how you look at this, it's not as clear cut as some people, Andrew Yang and others, are making it out to be. I implore you guys, you still don't know anything about SAG and pros and cons of unionization and all that, and you want to give yourself a nice crash course, and you got about 20 minutes to kill, lunch break, in between your classes or whatnot, just go online. You can just do a simple Bing Google search, type in pros, cons, being in a union. You can even do the research there with SAG. And really educate yourselves. And you'll find that, in a case like this, be careful what you ask for. Because if this is something that you want, okay, well here's the pros and here's the cons. It's something that my mother-in-law will say once in a blue moon, and it rings so true. You're always gonna come across a job, even when you're your own boss, and Lord knows I've been my own boss when it comes to doing the show here, recording voiceovers for different clients, doing video editing for clients. Lord knows, even when I'm my own boss, I will tend to not like certain things that come with that job. So to the point, no job is perfect. Even when you're your own boss, there are things that are not perfect with that job. But you somehow got to grind your teeth and you got to power through it. And if it's irritating and if it's just, I just can't, then you got to do what you got to do to change the scenery. But every job is going to have its pros and cons. Hey, I get paid X amount of money. That's great. Yeah, I get it weekly. Oh, that's great. But I only work X amount of days a week. That's bad. Hey, I got the hours that I want. Hey, that's great. Yeah, everybody I get along with, they're pretty cool. Okay, that's great. Yeah, but I got to take 4 buses and 3 trains to get to the job. And by the time I get home, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Ooh, that's bad. You feel where I'm coming from. Y'all know how it is. Hopefully for you Zelena Vega fans what's your thoughts about Zelena Vega? Hopefully that gave you a nice, delicious little of goodness to make you come away thinking a little bit more. Other than Zelena Vega, and look, I wish her a Godspeedy recovery, and everybody's watching right now. All the talents, this is a teachable moment right now. A very, very teachable moment right now. For the record, I do not like how WWE handled this. For the record, I don't. I will continue to go on record and I will say they should have held this off. Just one more time, I want to reiterate this before we move along. They should have just gone on ahead The talents that have the deals that they have right now with these third-party outlets, let them keep it. Let them keep all the money that they are generating. Tear up your current contracts, work up new contracts for new talents that get hired from here on out. Now, for your talents that are down at the performance center, any talents that is under a developmental deal and everything, pretty much that should be, they're not going to rock the boat. And if they want to rock the boat, they want to test you all, show them the door. Show that they are expendable. But any new talent that comes in, no, you're not going to get the AJ deal. You're not going to get the Zelina deal. You're not going to get the, forget about it. And look, I can't believe I almost forgot about this. With regards to Aleister Black, what did I say just a couple of nights ago? I said, look, I hope that Aleister Black continues to work with the WWE. Hey, whatever's going on with Zelina and her money, that's good and everything. But the more income you can bring in, the more cash flow positive you can be, the better. Really no reason for two people to essentially be out of work, even though that's really not the case with Zelina. But you get the point that I was trying to make. My whole deal was hopefully he keeps a calm, collected head and, he works and everything with the WWE. But I also said to you guys, I think I gave a bold prediction, which was don't be too surprised if maybe, just maybe, did I say before the end of December or the end of January? I can't remember which one it was, but I said something along the lines of don't be too surprised if you hear maybe he'll ask for his release or something along those lines. Kind of going in that direction and not as take it with a grain of salt, but the latest reports that's floating around there is Aleister Black wants to go back down to NXT. Look, we don't need to dissect that. Those of us that watched his work in NXT, look, I wouldn't blame the man if he's watching the WWE product, sees what's going on down there in NXT, remembers how much of a fantastic time he used to have down there, see what's going on with his man Finn Balor and how he's been able to find a newfound spirit this second go round in NXT. I'm sure he would like to have a similar homecoming, and I hope maybe eventually he'll get something like that. You notice he wasn't on WWE programming tonight, and he was drafted. Was he not? I think he was drafted to somebody real quick. Was he drafted to Raw or was he drafted to SmackDown? I can't remember. Sadly. But let's knock two birds out with one stone, just in case he is on the blue brand. We didn't see him on this past Friday's SmackDown. And how much you want to bet, just in general, as far as this week's programming, how much you want to bet we're going to see him? Bet you $1 we're not going to see him. So, if that's really what's going on with the man, I don't blame him whatsoever. But you know what? There's no reason to feel sad about Zelina and everything that's going on, because, look, I'm telling you, once again, if you didn't watch that Twitch stream, just watch how much money that girl racks in. I mean, just for that whole stream, but the first hour, I mean, she's not even saying anything. Her eyes are just watering up. And all she keeps saying is thank you. Oh, you guys have no idea how this makes me feel. Oh, I feel so blessed. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And the money, all I'm hearing is, and literally every single time you hear the little alert thing, you're just money. 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 She will be all right. She's crying tears of joy right now as she's just walking to the bank. Look, no shame. Young as she is, all that money, married, got your own home. Man, you're on top of the world. No, we ain't got to feel sorry for her. If anything, we just need to continue to rip the hell out of WWE. So he was drafted to SmackDown, according to Life After School. Thank you for that. Aleister Black, that is. So again, drafted to SmackDown. We ain't see him on this past SmackDown, did we not? How much you want to bet we're not going to see him on this Friday SmackDown? So they gotta iron that shit out. Hopefully they'll be able to smooth things out. Hopefully they will. But for the record, totally wrong how WWE had handled that whole ordeal. All right, so moving along here. Let's talk Survivor Series. We got Survivor Series coming up this Sunday. Let's look at this card. Let's get an idea how this card is going to be looking here. And hopefully we got enough matches that we can talk about. See, Survivor Series 2020. All right, so it's going down this Sunday. And before anybody asks, yeah, I am doing a post show covering the event. All right, so as it stands, we got about 6 matches. Nothing for pre-show has been announced just yet. I'm sure as we get closer into the weekend, we'll get an announcement. Right now, see, where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go? Team Raw, AJ Styles, Keith Lee, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, and Riddle take on Team SmackDown's Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, King Corbin, Seth Rollins, and there's one other person to be determined. 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match. You know, is it possible that Aleister Black, if they're able to smooth things out, and let him know, hey, we want to, we want to let you know we're serious. You know, we know we kind of with Zelina, but do you maybe try to renew his spirit a little bit? And do you maybe give him this spot? Do you maybe do that? Give him a promise that there's more in store for him? Not necessarily say to him a big push, but basically say, look, we understand you might be a little bit frustrated what's going on creatively right now. And, look, we're rededicating, we're committing ourselves to you. Don't give up on us. We're going to start making sure we have some really good stuff for you in rotation. Just give us some patience. And do you maybe start beginning that healing process? Tossing him a little bone here in this match? Maybe. We'll have to see how that plays out. But if it's not going to be Aleister Black, I'm just thinking about the rest of the roster. I mentioned him, I believe, on this past Friday's stream. And I'll mention his name again. How about Big E? I ain't seen Big E in action in a couple of weeks. Can I get Big E? Show Big E some love. I'd like to get Big E in there. See. This team. I'm going to go with Team SmackDown. A couple of reasons, and this isn't long-winded, so stay with me a second. This isn't long-winded. One, Jey Uso, come on, man, that match against Drew McIntyre on last Friday's SmackDown, he's got some making up to do there. So that's one. Two. Wait. There's a name screaming at me right now. Ooh. Actually, you know what, guys? In story, both teams got some serious turmoil because Team Raw can't get their shit together. And then when you go to Team SmackDown, Jey Uso gonna have some serious confrontation there with Kevin Owens. I almost forgot what he did to Kevin Owens a couple of weeks ago. Nah, I'm still going to say Team SmackDown. All right, Team Raw for the women and Team SmackDown, their 5-on-5 Women's Survivor Series elimination match. Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Lana, Lacey Evans, Peyton Royce taking on Team SmackDown's Bianca Belair, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan. And we already know about the two. Oh, no. There's two to be determined members. Yeah. Huh. SmackDown. So I guess my first question is there supposed to be another match or two as far as last chance to get in on this elimination match, because if not, then I gotta look at the roster and figure out where everybody is on here. Charlotte Flair's on Raw. Naomi. See, I gotta see the roster. Let me look at the roster real quick, guys. And let me just type in WWE roster for 2020. And I should be able to pull up who's who here. All right. Nah, give me a... Oh, wait a minute. I got to update it. Oh, this was in November 11th. Okay. This is good. This is from November 11th. So this should help me out. Oh, yeah. This is very updated. Okay. So let me look at SmackDown here. They even got it on a SmackDown tab. I like that. All right. Let's see. Oh, shit. I forgot about her. Could Bailey maybe be one of those participants? It's possible. I don't see Carmella. Chelsea Green got injured. Otherwise, Chelsea, I could have definitely seen Chelsea in there. Let's see here. What's going on with Natty? Why isn't Natty on this list? Natty just might slide in there. Let me look here. Yeah, Natty might slide in there unless she's injured or something. Interesting. I don't even see Tamina. Just looking at the roster. Okay, so could be Bailey, but then we got to remember Bailey's kind of tied up right now with Sasha Banks, but then you got Carmella kind of into that whole thing as well. So it might be safe to say those girls, take them out of the picture. Chelsea Green would have been awesome, but she's injured. She legitimately injured her hand on last Friday's SmackDown. Not sure if you guys are aware of it. So she's in a little arm cast as we speak. So she's going to be out for at least a couple of weeks. That's the point. I need to know what's going on with Natty. And it's so weird because I had SmackDown on the TV last Friday, and I remember at one point I saw Natty, but I really wasn't paying attention like that. So I'm curious what's going on with Natty, because she may take one of those two spots. And then the other girl, it could be Tamina. Tamina could take that spot. If you want to create even more buzz and really capitalize on her recent return to SmackDown, though, I think you should put Carmella on here. And yeah, just to make it interesting. I'm still going to go with Team Raw, though. I'm not convinced that Team Raw is going to lose this. I still feel when it's all said and done, Lana is going to be that dark horse for Team Raw, and she's going to pull out the W. So we'll see how it pans out. Lashley, Raw United States Champion, takes on Sami Zayn, the SmackDown Intercontinental Champion. Champion versus champion non-title singles match. You would think this is as clear cut, and you just go, Lashley. I am going to go with... I'm going to go with Lashley, but I think Lashley is... You know, if I was booking this match, can I be honest? If I was booking this match, I would have Apollo Crews make some type of a cameo in this, because he has history, respectfully, with both men. And last I kind of saw, it seemed as though he was still engaged in a feud there with Sami Zayn over that Intercontinental title. So I personally would love to see Apollo Crews make some type of a cameo, lay out both guys. Obviously, fans wouldn't like it, but you could do a fuck finish with this one. Let it be both men couldn't come to the count of 10 from the referee. Match is thrown out. And essentially, this doesn't count on the scorecard. Basically, it's still tied up. That way you still build upon the anticipation of, hey, this can be anybody's. It's either going to be Team Raw, it's going to be Team SmackDown that comes away. You could go that route. If you're not thinking about having Apollo in this and you're just going to let it be these two guys as it is, Lashley, hands down. New Days, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, the Raw Tag Champions take on the Street Profits. SmackDown Tag Champions, Champions versus Champions, non-title tag team match. Street Profits. I would like to see the Street Profits pick this one up. I just kind of feel they need a little bit more of a rub off. That's all, when you get right down to it. And not to mention, what would be really classy at the end, and I think we're going to get to see this regardless, all of those guys are going to be in the ring dancing and having a good time. I just see that totally going down no matter who wins this. That's for sure. But me personally, my personal pick, I like to see the Street Profits pick up the dub. I just feel they really, really could use it. Have that riding into weeks of SmackDown there. Asuka, the Raw Women's Champion, taking on Sasha Banks. Champion versus champion, non-title singles match. Now, I can't help but wonder, does Bayley maybe come in here and do a little something? Because it's safe to say she's not going to be part of that Team SmackDown. That's that 5-on-5 women's joint. Safe to say she's not going to be part of that. I'd like to see Bayley make some type of a cameo right here. Or you could follow up with Carmella. I'd like to see one of those girls do something. Now, here's the other question you got to ask. Does Shayna Baszler and or Nia do a little something here? Because remember, in recent weeks, they've been eyeballing Asuka as well. So my point, there's a couple of different directions the writers could go with this one and booking this match that we could be seeing on Sunday. All said and done, I hope we don't get any fuckery, because these two girls, history has shown they can deliver a classic. So I honestly, I hope we don't get any fuckery. I gotta go with Sasha. So if you're keeping track so far, let me keep tabs here. So for the first match, I'm going Team SmackDown. Second match, I went with Team Raw. Third match, I went with Team Raw. Fourth match, I went with Team SmackDown. So at this point, it's tied up. All right. This fifth one, This fifth one, this is a tricky one. I'm going to go with SmackDown yet again. Actually, you know what? Hang on, guys. Yeah, I'm going to go with Team Raw. It's because of the main event match. All right. Main event match. Drew McIntyre, Raw's WWE Champion, taking on Roman Reigns, SmackDown's Universal Champion. Champion versus champion, non-title. I am not picking against the Tribal Chief. I'm sorry, guys. That's too much stacked. I am not going against the Tribal Chief. You can forget about it. Hey, Drew, you just won your championship. That's great, brother. But yeah, you about to catch this hot L from your Tribal Chief. All right, so let's see how many we got here when it's all said and done. Who won here? I think I got it tied up still, but let's see here. So SmackDown's got one, Raw got one. Then we got Raw. Then we got SmackDown. Then we got Raw. Then we got... So it's tied. The way I'm looking at this, I think it's going to be tied this year. I'm not really seeing... If there was maybe one match I'm looking at on the card where I can say, you know what, this is where I would expect a swerve. The only match that is screaming swerve, Lashley taking on Sami Zayn. And if you remember, I said Lashley would go over on that one. But that's probably the only one where, okay, that's a swerve. And if that were to happen, then obviously Team SmackDown would defeat Raw. I don't see that for this year. If it's not tied, then in story you gotta have Raw go over. After all, Raw's been kind of hurting there for the past couple of weeks or many weeks with the ratings. So if you want to kind of build off of something, this would be pretty much your time for it. Now, one other thing I want to point out. Let's talk Undertaker. I know I was kind of really into my notes there, but let's talk Undertaker. So obviously Undertaker is getting a nice, cool Bon Voyage send-off, and I'm looking forward to that. Already hearing there's going to be some really cool WWE alums that's going to pop up, and that should be great. I'm looking forward to it. But let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. If you really want to pay it forward with regards to The Undertaker, if you really, really want to pay it forward, I'm letting you guys know this right now. Call it Spidey sense tingling, call it whatever. I got something foul happening to our man, the Phenom, at Survivor Series. I got somebody doing a serious number on him. I got somebody that's going to fuck him up real good. Now, as far as who it could be, I'm going to give you two names. One will really surprise you. I think both names will surprise you. I would like to see just how fully committed, renewed focus WWE brass, management, writers, Vince, put Vince on the spot. I would love to see how committed they really are to Aleister Black and having him, look, we know, but look, all changes this Sunday. Do you maybe have Aleister Black, Black Mass, Undertaker? I mean, that'd be one hell of a way. How young is Aleister Black anyway? Hey, Google, how old is Aleister Black?
35 years old.
35 years old. Okay. So still a relatively young man. Do you maybe give him that rub off? I mean, you want to get people talking. That's one way to do it. The other guy I'm thinking of, I'm telling you straight up. I got one of these guys doing something. One of these guys, guaranteed, I got them doing something to The Undertaker. And if it's not one of these guys, that would be like, what the fuck to me. Look at how much love I'm showing Aleister Black on here. As far as that renewed focus, trying to get him involved, all right, let's really steer ship this guy. Let's really have him popping, going in the right direction. We've had him off TV for so long. People have essentially forgotten about him. So look at that. We can either put Aleister Black on Team SmackDown or really have people talking and going WTF. Let him Black Mass the hell out of The Undertaker. If you're not going to go with Aleister Black, you just not going to have that kind of conversation where, hey, look, man, we'll give you Taker. Karrion Kross. Reason why I'm going with Karrion Kross, I'm going back to the reports that was put out initially when he joined the WWE. And one of the reports that came out, and I want to say it was Meltzer, I'm not really sure, but one of the reports that came out, it was basically the way he inked his deal, he would not be down in NXT that long. The ultimate goal was to, as quickly as humanly possible, get him on the main roster. If you really, really want to have people go WTF, Karrion Kross, end of days on The Undertaker. People go WTF. I'm going to give you guys a third option. And this is the ultimate last one. One of these three men is going to do something to the Taker. I'm telling you that right now. There's no way you can get around that. Somebody we haven't seen in a couple of weeks. He's done some interviews. They've been kind of awkward. I gotta say, kind of feels like I'm watching Kane Light doing his interviews there, and yeah, we can do better. And the fact that he hasn't been on TV, I think they kind of understand. Less talk, more action. Lars Sullivan. That's another one. Remember, we haven't seen him. Could he maybe be somebody that gets that spot for Team SmackDown? That's another thing that you got to think about as well. So those are the ways you all need to be looking at it. But when it's all said and done, one of those three men I got. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But that's definitely going to happen. And don't forget, once Survivor Series goes off, they're going to do Stone Cold Steve Austin and Undertaker Part 2, Broken Skull Sessions. I can't wait to watch that. As far as what I'm going to be doing, we'll do the post show for Survivor Series. And then once that's over, I'm going to be watching that Broken Skull Sessions. And then I'm going to come right back live and do a special review for it. So definitely keep it locked on this weekend, because loads good content's going to be coming your way. Speaking of Undertaker, let's talk a little bit more about the Undertaker as we get ready to wrap it up for the night and everything. I did watch the 47-minute documentary on the WWE Network on the retrospective careers of Undertaker and Kane, and I will tell you guys straight up, I enjoyed it. Was it rehashed? Because I know that's something that most of you that probably eat, sleep, breathe all things Undertaker and Kane right down to the point. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw the entire Last Ride documentary series, which friendly reminder, it's supposed to be hitting DVD. And I will give you guys those dates once again. I think in the UK, they already got it. But let me do this. Let me go on Amazon right now. And I'll just type in Undertaker. And let's see. The Last Ride. There we go. I think. Oh, sweet. Yeah. I remember it right. So I think right now, or maybe right before Thanksgiving, the UK is supposed to get their series on DVD of Undertaker: The Last Ride. USA, we aren't supposed to be getting it until December 15th. And FYI, y'all may want to go ahead and pre-order this right now. I'm actually going to go ahead and pre-order this. What a fucking steal. This bad boy is $15 right now. Normally $19.98, but right now they're only charging $15.99. And just think about that. If you got Amazon Prime, you get that flat out for free. Now, one thing that I'm trying to see here is if this is on Blu-ray. And it doesn't look like they're giving a Blu-ray option. FYI, it doesn't look like they're giving a Blu-ray option. Let me just go back and let me try again. Yeah, guys, I'm not seeing a Blu-ray option. So this could be standard. So before you're quick to order this on Amazon, do a little bit of research and see if maybe there is even a DVD Blu-ray, a Blu-ray version of this or a 4K version before you put your money down. Otherwise, if it's just this standard version, then it comes down to who's got the best price. I mean, who else besides Amazon is gonna, I mean, $15.99. That's a pretty good deal. $15 for the entire series. It's a pretty damn good deal. But check that out. Yeah. But yeah, the Kane Undertaker Brothers of Destruction documentary on the WWE Network, I did watch it. A lot of it was rehash. I mean, a lot of what was going on with Taker from the last ride, you know, his old retrospective career and everything, that was kind of revisited, so to speak. Everything that's come about with Kane, his origins, the whole Isaac Yankem, you know, the way I could summarize this perfectly without being long-winded, if you didn't watch Stone Cold interview Kane or Undertaker for those great, now classic episodes of Broken Skull Sessions, then this was pretty much the summarized version, except it was with Kane and Undertaker talking to each other. And it was kind of funny too, because you know what it reminded me of? I don't know if anybody else had picked up the same vibe as well, but it was almost like the recent Boston Celtics one-on-one interview I had watched that was on NBA TV some weeks back between Kevin McHale and Larry Bird. And they were just going over, you know, all the great years that they had played together and how Larry had essentially, you know, put the team on his back and everything. And, you know, they were talking one-on-one and everything. And so it almost kind of reminded me of that, watching Undertaker and Kane as Kane is essentially Kevin McHale and Undertaker's Larry Bird, you know, essentially. Some of y'all may like that, especially if you're a Boston Celtics fan. I definitely was a Boston Celtics fan when I was growing up. I respected the hell out of them, especially Larry Bird. But until he met my man, come on, man. Until he came across MJ, then it was kind of like, yeah, sorry, Larry, but yeah, MJ got you tonight, brother. Sorry, not sorry. But that's what it reminded me of. There wasn't anything new that I learned from this except for one thing. Now, maybe it's been talked about before, but I never knew the day of WrestleMania. And I don't know. For some reason, call it selective memory. You know, I get older. There's some things I can remember vividly. There's other things, it escapes my thought. But Kane said to Undertaker towards the end, hey, that WrestleMania, you and Lesnar, what happened? Talk me through that, because I'm watching in the back. I see what happens. And initially I'm thinking somebody messed up. Somebody messed up. This was not the correct call. Somebody got hurt or something. You know, somebody fucked up. You know, and then I'm waiting for the match to restart. If it doesn't restart, I'm just waiting for something, and nothing happens, and then it really sets in. And walk me through that. What happened there? This part I thought was new, and if he talked about this before on the Stone Cold podcast, I missed it. So apparently, Undertaker arrives at the arena, and it had already been talked about for weeks. You're going to go over Lesnar. He gets to the arena. You're going to go over Lesnar. And then at the last freaking second, and I wish Kane would have probed him a little bit more. So, you know, did this happen before the pay-per-view started, or were you approached, you know, literally as you were going to the gorilla position? I would have loved to hear the probing of that question more to find out from Taker. Okay, so when exactly did this go down? But Vince that day of WrestleMania walked up to Vince that day of WrestleMania walked up to Taker and said, you know, change of mind, want you to. But the one thing that I do recall that Taker has been very consistent about, which is, hey, look, I didn't particularly care for, but hey, I respect the business. He's the boss, whatever he wants. but both men were in agreement. Both men being Kane and Undertaker, both men were in agreement that somebody like Roman Reigns really would have benefited more from the victory, that it should have been Roman, and just how it really would have catapulted him and everything. Because as we all see, Lesnar has essentially, he's got his money and he's pretty much gone. So that was kind of interesting. That was a bit eyebrow raising, because I don't remember that being covered as in depth as it was. And I'll tell you something to kind of put in you all's mind there, to just marinate on. Whenever this Vince McMahon biopic does surface, I hope that one of the questions that's asked of Vince, okay, Taker, the streak, looking back on it now, now that a little bit more time has passed, and essentially it's all about Vince McMahon, he's in the hot seat, he's the one answering the questions and all that. Maybe, hopefully, during his biopic, that's something that maybe could be tackled. Or I hope I don't mind an origins joint for Vince McMahon, but I also wouldn't mind seeing something where questions you've had on your mind for the longest time, Vince is tackling. I also wouldn't mind seeing that as well. But we'll see. We'll see. But no, if you didn't get a chance to check out the Brothers of Destruction doc, check it out. It's great. 47 minutes. Goes by real quick. Like I said, it's just a rehash. For me, I went into this basically kind of going, Chris Hardball, tell me something I don't know. And other than that one little nugget, I read Kane's book, so I pretty much know everything word for word. And now, I did enjoy hearing them talk about how much of a clusterfuck the Saudi Arabia joint was. I won't spoil that for those of you that didn't watch it yet, but it was nice hearing them go over that. Yeah, I will say that. They spent a couple of minutes talking about that. That was good. I didn't check out the Paul Bearer one yet. That's the next one I'm actually going to be checking out. I'll be watching that one. If not tonight, I'll probably be watching it first thing later today. We'll see. Hey, shout out to some of our sponsors as we get ready to wind it down for the night. Stick around. I want to give you guys some quick programming notes and also some other news here. Shout out to our good friends over at shirtsandapparel.com, where anyone can upload their own images and custom text to different styles of t-shirts, hoodies, caps, drink koozies, coffee mugs, posters, clipboards, tote bags, stickers, and so much more. You can even make your own political statement, design your own political shirt. Shirtsandapparel.com. Cult of the Eclipse, the debut novel from author WINFIELD. Searching for her runaway child, Jaclyn Ellsworth is led into the derelict parts of western Pennsylvania after hearing of the supposed miracles of tech industrialist Anthony Charles. She suspects her child is taken by the surrounding cult. Pick up your copy of Cult of the Eclipse, the new debut novel from WINFIELD, wherever books are sold, including on Amazon. And special shout out to Shamik Blair over at sblairwritings.com, where you can buy your copy of Love, Marriage, Divorce, and Growth, a poem anthology. She's an educator and a poet. Shamik Blair offers creative, inspirational, and thought-provoking life lessons based on her own personal journey through poetry. Damn good poetry, too. In this collection of poetic writings, readers explore memories of first love, commitment, relationship building, heartbreak, forgiveness, and personal growth. Pick up your copy of Love, Marriage, Divorce, and Growth, a poem anthology, now available for purchase online at major retailers including Amazon, Rakuten, Kubu, Indigo Chapters, and Barnes & Noble. Appreciate all of these great sponsors. Without them, without our Patreon Familia content like what you're checking out right now would not be free. All right, so far as free content goes, new RCWR show. At this point, here's what we got lined up. New Impact Showdown, first off, that is going to be dropping. I'm going to put it out. I'm going to see if I can try to put something out Tuesday night and Wednesday night for Impact Showdown. Maybe we'll just talk about last week's episode, because if you guys that checked out the Turning Point post show, you all know that they were so late getting last week's Impact, making it region free, unlocked for USA residents to check it out. And I think as I was getting ready to go live, I don't think it was unlocked just yet. Yeah, it wasn't unlocked yet. So hopefully that episode is unlocked by now, and maybe I can somehow check out Impact live, assuming they're still doing it live on Twitch like they used to. Then I will definitely check out Impact tomorrow night on Twitch, and maybe I'll combine last week's episode, review that on top of the newest episode, do it like that. And then we got Friday night. I know SmackDown is going to be doing their thing. I'm actually going to be working on Friday. So at this point, your next edition after Impact Showdown, I'll be coming at you guys on Sunday as soon as the Survivor Series pay-per-view goes off the air. And that should be a solid show. So make sure you tune in for that. And then remember, right after that Survivor Series post show, I'm actually going to be turning right around. You know, I'm looking at the schedule here, and you know what? Mark down Wednesday night, folks. Mark down Wednesday night. I think we might be able to come on live and talk about NXT and AEW. Mark that down. I might be able to pull that off. If not, I'll say something on social media. But assuming that we don't do anything Wednesday night, then Saturday will be your next editions of the Sunday will be your next editions of the RCWR show, Survivor Series, and then the Stone Cold podcast. All right. Be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and the downloads wherever you get your podcasts. I mentioned it earlier. I think I had my train of thought interrupted. Some of you guys had reached out to me in private messages, emails, and told me, hey, Lee, the show's no longer on Spotify. I'm trying to find out what happened to the show on Spotify. Long story short, Spotify was doing some weird shit, and the show got pulled. Spotify is telling me that they thought, so they're not 100% sure, but they thought that the podcast did some type of weird violation. They aren't really sure. And I basically reached out to my distributing platform provider, because they said they were going to send an email to them letting them know what was going on. And my distributing provider, they said, we received no type of communications from Spotify whatsoever. Give us your RSS feed. We'll check it out and see what's going on. But from our end, nah, you ain't do nothing wrong. We didn't get any contact. You know, we haven't been in contact with them. They sent us nothing. I'm trying to see if we can get things cleaned up and get back on Spotify. So until the Spotify situation is rectified, I mean, take your pick. You can check out the show on many other different outlets. I mean, we got Pandora, we got Stitcher, we got iHeart, we got Google Play, we got Apple Podcasts, or Apple Music, TuneIn Radio. I mean, wherever you get your podcast, whatever your favorite podcasting platform is, go check it out. You guys that's checking out the webcast stream, thank you for tuning in. And as you're making your exit, make sure you hit the like button. I like seeing the comment of, hey, should have more views, should have more likes. Okay, great. Love that you feel that way. Definitely subscribe, leave the likes. Remember, word of mouth, share, helps out tremendously. You're going to be waiting on the audio version of this. This will not be edited and all that until much later today. I'll try to have it out in the early afternoon for you guys, so enjoy the webcast version for now. Other than that, I'm wishing all of y'all to be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you all next go round. Take care, kind people.